You're slowly killing your relationship and you don't even know it. Think of yourself like a glass of water. When you have this full glass of water, each day, each week, each year, you have a little bit that goes out into the things that are important to you. Your spouse, your job, and then you add a child to that equation. What happens to most parents is we actually take that glass of water and we pour it all into the new child. Both parents often do this. Jobs suffer, but most importantly, our relationship with our spouse suffers. And it's slowly killing the most important part of the family we're creating. I remember when we had our second child, and I thought I knew exactly what our family needed. I was going to dedicate all my energy. I was going to take all that glass of water and pour it into my oldest son. Because by helping my wife with the oldest son, our new son would get all the time and energy with mom. And that's what he needed. That's what she needed. That's what I thought. And I remember taking my oldest son everywhere, going to the playground, taking him out for events, bringing him to work, doing anything that helped connect. And one day we had this discussion where my wife looked at me and said, "It's not fair. You're taking the fun one and I'm doing all the work at home and I feel completely disconnected." And the truth was I completely misread it. I was wrong. It was important for us to be working together, but we weren't even communicating. I was just doing what I thought, and she was doing what she thought, and we were completely missing each other. This is very shortly how we started to better communicate because we started to realize that we had good intentions. We wanted to help each other out. We wanted to actually help our family, but we were actually hurting it. We were stepping into something that we hadn't had any experience in. And that is, we thought we were doing the right thing, but we now had to talk about how what we thought was wrong and how to build it. And that's not an easy conversation. So, what's the fix? It's simple. There's something you can do every day, once a week, every month, and once a year that is bound to build a stronger relationship. So, what do we do every day? Every day, it's important to focus on the little things, the details, the simple thank yous. If somebody picks something up for the other person, if somebody makes dinner, if someone does the laundry, if someone takes the kids somewhere, anything that's happening, acknowledging each other in those little moments with a simple thank you or a gratitude feeling is so important in a marriage. It goes so far. A quick thank you. I can't tell you how many times I catch myself eating an unbelievable dinner that my wife just made and going, "Oh, I didn't even say thank you." And it happens way more than it should. The reality is, when I catch myself, I definitely make the effort to go over and say, "Thank you. That was an amazing meal." Those little things matter. How about a kiss goodbye when someone's leaving, or a kiss hello, a quick hug? There's so much research that says just a 6-second kiss or an embrace every day, these are things that can strengthen your bond. Those are daily things. They're really important daily because we need constant affirmation in our relationships, that we put ourselves out there and we need to have somebody pick it up for us. And it goes both ways. This is really all about giving. Every one of these, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, they're all about giving of yourself, but knowing your partner. What does this relationship need? I know that my wife needs time and energy and one-on-one time and energy from me. And when I do that, we have much better connection time. I'm a physical touch and words of affirmation. This goes back to Gary Chapman's 5 love languages, something that had really helped our marriage. But understanding each other and what we need really makes a difference. I really appreciate it when we go to a nice dinner or we do something for the family, when quietly my wife leans in and says, "Thank you. That was really nice." We did it together. It's not like I paid and I'm the only person that paid, but the reality is it just feels good that we did something. And I was proud of doing it for the family, and she acknowledged it. Little tiny details. It's all in the weeds here. This is where you get in the weeds in your relationship. What are the little things that 10x your relationship? Now we're going to once a week. Little bigger commitment, not a huge one, but you've got to make time to connect with each other once a week. Now, connection can be an after dinner conversation, it can be a date night, but it has to happen and it should happen minimally once a week. So, for all you parents that have kids in travel sports like we did, we would find weeks that we're going by and we feel like we're high fiving each other on the way out the door, in the door, one person to this place, the next person to that place. And as the kids got older, it started to be weekends like that. That once a week check in is so mandatory. Now, what are some things that you can do? I just mentioned a quick after dinner drink or an after dinner connection. 30 minutes can't be the worst thing in the world. It is so powerful to just have a quick check in. But a date night separates you from the environment. That is the goal. The goal would be to go to dinner, make a quiet dinner together, let the kids eat, you sit down and eat and have dinner together. Make sure there's some level of one-on-one connection where she can talk to you and you can talk to her and you can actually talk about things that matter outside of the children. Very important, not just about kids stuff. Sometimes it's really important to prioritize things that are important to you, to remember that you're a human functioning outside of your parental duties. And I think this gets harder and harder the more parents get more and more involved. But that weekly check in is also a chance for you to say, hey, is everything okay? Anything you need from me? Anything I could do more of? These are ways to become vulnerable with each other and develop the relationship. Believe me, from a perspective of failing multiple times in my relationship with these weekly check ins, if it goes too long, what happens is it builds up and it becomes harder and harder to check in. You become more and more disconnected. So if you can just try to do it once a week, it will change the game for you. Now we're getting into real commitment once a month. Once a month, I think it's powerful to be able to separate for a day. And I mean an extended period of time. It may not be the entire day, but if it can be, it is very valuable. Once a month, it's really important to have a getaway. Maybe it's a dinner out and you spend the night out if you have family around and the kids can go to grandma and grandpa's. Whatever it is, that is powerful. Maybe it's just a day adventure where you get a babysitter and you guys hit a winery and you spend the day just connecting and having a great time. Maybe it's going to the beach, having a full day of adventure, riding bikes down at the beach, doing something you don't normally do. But adventure is a really important word because you have to try new things together. You have to actually do something hard together, maybe a hard hike or a run or enter yourself into a race. These are all ideas that genuinely help you connect. Because when you do something hard together, you're actually having a great time. Even though it feels bad in the moment, it can be such a great connection. I think that this is a very underrated value add to marriages and relationships and something that we found to be very important. Once I get to the annual, I will tell you some of the ways that I make the monthly, the weekly, and the daily so much more impactful. But the truth is, having time to separate for extended periods of hours where you almost thaw just away from the children and you can be an adult with each other is so powerful for your marriage. And it takes that date night to a whole new level. It's a date adventure. It's a day that you deserve. And parents, you got to prioritize it. Mom and dad have to prioritize this. What's important once a year? Once a year, you have to get away. And the getaway can be within your means. For my wife and I, it was a getaway for a week. That was mandatory for once a year. Now, kids have to be age appropriate. I understand that it takes time to get there. We had great family support systems. Big shout out to the grandparents in our lives. I'm super grateful for that as I look back. But here's the point to the marriage. You've got to get out. You got to get away. And when you get away, you remember that you like each other. You don't just love each other. Yes, the daily helps. The weekly helps. The monthly helps. But the annual separation. I call this ROM, rekindle our marriage. And we didn't find that once a year was actually enough. We found that 4 times a year was mandatory. 1 or 2 separations that were longer than a couple of days, and at least 1 or 2 that were just a night or 2 away, where we could have some level of connection, a really great dinner, a slow morning, the ability to adventure together. Ram is all about rekindling the marriage, rekindling the relationship. And this came about because I defined a story earlier in this conversation where I told you that my wife and I thought we had it figured out with the 2 kids, and I was taking the oldest and she was handling the baby, and we were missing each other. About 6 months into the relationship, we're on a boat heading over to Tortola, and my wife gives me this big hug, and she says, "This is the rekindle our marriage weekend. This is our ROM." And I said, "I like the way that sounds. What do you have in mind?" And we started laughing, and I said, "I'm in." I kind of took it like I do most ideas and made it into something much more elaborate, something that I now teach all over the place and tell any couple that will listen. But the truth is, what we really found was we needed to actually reconnect. We needed time to be around other couples and share ideas and laugh about things that we can't laugh about around the kids. We needed time to actually develop our dreams and goals for each other, to talk about things that we can never get out at home. We needed time to thaw away from the kids. Really, really important, mostly for mom. Dad seems to be right in there as soon as he gets away, but mom needs a little bit of time. She's super mom at home and it's very challenging, but you deserve it. You deserve the time away. And every single time we did this, we started to recognize more and more how powerful it was to our relationship. We started to recognize how easy daily became, how much easier weekly became, how much easier monthly became. We started to look forward to these things. And guess what? Every once in a while, we had to press each other. Maybe it was a bad time for me at work and she was like, "Hey, I think we need a ROM." Maybe it was a bad time with the kids or something that she thought was important for work, and I had to press. Nope, we've got to get away. We've got to do this. We adjusted. We were flexible. We pivoted at different times in our life, but we worked together. And ROM has been a fundamental core benefit to our marriage and many other friends of ours. ROM is something that changes our lives for the better. And the stronger we build the family, the stronger we build each other's relationship, the stronger the family becomes, the stronger our influence on the other family members that are getting married becomes. Here's a little side note. When it comes to whether it's ROM, whether it's monthly, weekly, daily, if you're not talking about intimacy as a part of this, you're missing a big part. And I'm not going to go into any details or tell anybody what that means or how to define that for you, but you know what your relationship needs. You know what each other probably need. And if you haven't had that conversation, you're missing a big core component. What you don't want to do is get to the monthly or the annual ROM weekend and have that be the only time that you're reconnecting. And I talk to so many friends that have gone so long without connecting intimately to their spouses that they start to feel like strangers when they go away. That's not the point. The point is that 2 great friends are getting together once a day for an acknowledgement, once a week for time alone, once a month to separate and do something together, and once a year at least to have that reconnection on a very, very deep level. This is a recipe for success. This is a recipe that will help any marriage and any relationship. And I know because I live it and I believe in it. And thank God I have a spouse that's bought into it, because together we continue to thrive even through challenges. We don't have a perfect marriage. We don't have a perfect relationship. We have lots of challenges. And at the end of the day, we've overcome the things that were challenges because we're doing it together. It doesn't matter that we reference so much of this conversation around a new family, a new relationship, that glass of water that has to go in different directions. That's life. At any point in time, you can begin this recipe. At any point in time, you can start doing daily things, weekly things, monthly things, and an annual ROM. It doesn't matter, because before you know it, the kids are gone. And you're an empty nester and you're sitting in a house with just each other. And it's so much better to not be strangers. It's so much better to not only love the person that's sitting side by side with you at the dinner table, but to like them, to know them, to want to be a bigger part of their life, and to have shaped your family around that other person so that when those children are out of the house, there's not the full emptiness that maybe you would have felt if that was all you poured that glass of water into.